You are listening to the Colts Report with Sam Frick and Mike Rich, only on the Central Indiana Sports Report. Welcome back, Colts fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for this week's Colts Report, and it is a big one. I'm joined by Sam Frick of ANEC Sports and our Pacers guy, Mike Rich, here to respond to a big trade, one of the biggest in Colts history, especially in-season trades during one of the biggest trades in Colts history, in particular, one of the biggest in-season trades ever. The only other one I can think of is the Eric Dickerson trade in 1987. The Colts acquire Sauce Gardner for 2 first-round draft picks and A.D. Mitchell. And now suddenly, Sam, the Colts have one of the best defensive backfields in the NFL.
I had just gone through my first class teaching, and so I was in between classes, and I looked through on social media, and I see Sauce Gardner acquired by the Indianapolis Colts, and I went, holy shit, what just happened there? The Colts put on the Who Dat sauce on this trade deadline, and I'm like, what in the world did the Ursay sisters had up their sleeve in this trade deadline? Because Sauce Gardner was not on my bingo card whatsoever.
No,
I didn't think the Colts would be going after a name this big in the defensive backfield, the deadline. And when you think about this, Greg, you got Sauce Gardner, you got Kenny Moore, you got Cross, you got
Darius Ward, Cameron Bynum, Jalen Jones. It just keeps going on and on.
It's amazing backfield on the defensive side. So obviously it's an expensive trade. We trade 2 firsts and A.D. Mitchell to get him, but it was going to cost a lot to get a player of that caliber in Sauce Gardner. This could be one of the biggest acquisitions in Colts history if we do it right, because obviously if you don't make this move unless you think the Colts are a win-now team, right? And they know they believe in Daniel Jones, and the next draft is going to be a quarterback-heavy draft. We're not worried about a quarterback right now because we're going to sign Daniel Jones to an extension anyway. We have the wide receivers. We got the best running back in the NFL in Jonathan Taylor. We have a pretty good offensive line. One would argue our defensive front's not the best, but hey, if your defensive backfield is one of the best in the NFL, it kind of makes up for that as well. So I think overall, look at this trade deadline. We made that one move, but that one move was a seismic move that everybody's still talking about right now.
I feel like Christmas came 6 weeks, 7 weeks early for the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, to get a player of this caliber, it is something that it's not in the Colts DNA to do much in the trade deadline, to go this big, and they're in it to win it. They're putting the pieces together. Like Sam said, we got a lot of good pieces in all aspects of that team. I think the Colts defensive line is questionable. That is one of the areas, but the secondary will improve, the front defensive line. The offensive line, I think it's one of the best in the NFL. I think our wide receiver room is pretty good. I think we have one of the best up-and-coming tight ends in the NFL. I think Tyler Warren's impact has just been phenomenal. As a rookie to come in and play as well as he has. So I'm just really kind of shocked that, the Colts made the biggest splash at the trade deadline. And it coming into this season, I don't think any of us really had them in this position 9 weeks in.
Not even close. I believe I had them at 2-7, Sam. I think you maybe 3-6 or 4-5.
I think
none of us who did the preseason had anything like this. And as Mike said, it's kind of like Christmas morning. It's Christmas morning that used a lot of credit to get all the presents because they gave up a lot to get this. 2 first-round draft picks. I think Mitchell was not even part of the plans anymore. I think his immediate benching after his mistake said to me that there was already an issue there.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't bench somebody for one mistake. So he wasn't part of the plan. But 2 first-round draft picks can be costly. So this is a win-now situation.
it has to be.
And you hope that, the first round draft pick next season at the end of it. So if it's 32, who cares?
Well, I wouldn't say who cares. Even at 32, it's a pretty big deal.
I think it's worth it. If we're giving
sure.
up the 32nd pick in next year's draft, this was well worth the cost.
And he is that good. He is worth every penny that you would pay on salary and in draft picks. He is. I had someone tell me today that he wasn't that good, so my immediate reaction was to go check the numbers. And the numbers say he is the best cornerback in the league. My eyes tell me he's the best cornerback in the league. His peers call him the best cornerback in the league. And again, you add him to Charvarius Ward, who's a top 10, I believe, corner. Hasn't been healthy very much, but when he's in there, top 10. Kenny Moore, top 2 or 3 nickel back without question. And the combination of safeties has been really good. Nick Cross has turned into quite a player. So
I think something that might be missing is you're also taking him from a dysfunctional team. The Jets are freaking awful. They can't retain their talent. They can't evolve their talent. You put him in a system that is better prepared, better coached, is winning. I think you'll see a different Sauce Gardner than in Indianapolis than you did with the Jets.
Mr. Michael Rich, you stole my thunder there because that's where I was going to say next. Even though we trade those 2 first-round picks, remember, this is the New York Jets. Historically speaking, they are terrible at drafting players. They're terrible at developing players. And so I've already seen something from CBS saying, well, the Colts, they spend too much. It's a robbery. The Jets won the trade. And I'm like, who do you think you are to say that the New York Jets are winners of a blockbuster trade that historically doesn't go in their favor? Unless Anthony Mitchell becomes Jerry Rice and somehow those 2 draft picks become Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, I think you're fooling yourself to think that they've lost this trade already. Now, could this be an even trade down the road? Maybe. But the Jets are going to have to prove me really wrong, or Sauce Gardner is going to have to be a horrible fit for the Colts. And I don't see that whatsoever. He is the best corner in the NFL. He's been paid like the top corner in the NFL. You're going to see an immediate impact on this Colts team, and that locker room is going to get extremely motivated. With this acquisition, I cannot tell you how much of an immediate presence it's going to be for the Colts beyond the scoreboard itself. You will see an immediate energy, an energy boost coming out of this because Sauce Gardner is on his way to Indy as we speak. And so there is going to be an immediate jolt coming in for this Colts locker room that was already confident coming in.
Has to give him confidence, Mike.
Oh, definitely has to give the Colts confidence and that defense.
The front office believes in us. They believe that we can go win this thing.
Ballard's having one of the best years of his career with the Colts. He had a good draft. He got the best tight end in the draft, and it's paying dividends. He did well in the offseason with bringing in Daniel Jones. His second
year linemen are developing.
His linemen are developing. He's provided a line that can block for Jonathan Taylor to be the best running back in the NFL. I think Ballard and Steichen have secured their positions to this point of the season. They have, I think, the toughest part of their season's coming up in the next few games. They still got a lot of good teams ahead of them with Kansas City Chiefs, the Seahawks, I think the 49ers on Monday night, a couple divisional games, but I think that they have everything they need to win those games.
And Sam, you and I will talk more about the Falcons game in Germany coming up this weekend. We'll find out what the plan is for Sauce Gardner. I don't think they need to be in any hurry to add him to being the full corner. They're already pretty solid at the corners. I think the biggest surprise is that they went out and got an all-pro corner, but also that they addressed that instead of defensive end when that was what we were expecting, defensive end or linebacker, Sam.
Yes, I do agree that I was surprised by that as well, but part of me does wonder if some of the depth from the defensive backfield that we dealt with the injuries, I wonder if they were a little bit concerned about that going into the trade deadline, which is part of the reason why I think that's part of the reason why they ultimately went for the trigger with Sauce Gardner, because Brad, those corners and those defensive ends, whether no matter what position is, those type of players don't come around, don't grow on trees, and so you get that type of player coming in to the Indianapolis Colts. Like those are players you normally don't get it right off the hop right that. So I think the Colts took the risk and say, look, if we want to make a deep run in the playoffs, we're going to have to be able to get this type of all-pro corner that can get us to an elite level that put us in the best position to compete with the Kansas Cities and the Buffaloes of the world right now, and then take our battles from there. So I think the Colts kind of picked their poison a little bit in terms of what areas they would rather deal with the issues down the road. And to me, ultimately, they decided to address the depth of the defensive backfield more than anything else, which to me, ultimately, in the end of the day, I think the trade itself worked out. I think right now has worked out pretty well for the Colts. Now, whether or not the execution of it goes well, that remains to be seen. And I think to me, that will really be tested when you see the Colts make the drive to Kansas City after the bye week, and we'll see what Sauce Gardner can bring to a big matchup against the Chiefs.
Mike, any thoughts on not addressing defensive end or linebacker?
I just don't think you're going to get everything you want, and this one of the best players at his position was available, and why not take the best player at that position that is available at this time? I'm hoping that our defensive line and defensive end and our linebackers are going to be serviceable for the rest of this season and be able to benefit from the secondary that's going to be backing them up. I think next year's draft is where they're going to have to address defensive end, and there's a lot of good defensive ends coming out next year in the 2026 draft.
I think this will definitely help the pass rush. I think, Sam, one of the most important aspects of the second half of the season is the development of Laiatu Latu. We've got to get more out of him. He has looked a little better in the last few weeks. That's key, isn't it?
I think that's my point when I said I think they kind of picked their battles by saying, hey, look, let's take care of the development of our front line, and then let's address the depth in our defensive backfield, the deadline. So they said, look, we have a lot of confidence in the defensive backfield, but we know we've been dealing with injuries. Let's get some assurance. Let's get the best player available, and then let's see if we can get Laiatu Latu to elevate his game a little bit. And you said it best, Brett. I think he's gotten a little better recently, but I think the Colts know if they want to be at the upper echelons of the NFL, at the end of the day, you got to be able to stop the quarterbacks and the passing game at the end of the day. And I think they addressed it by getting the top player available at the trade deadline in Sauce Gardner. Whether or not we get Laiatu Latu at his best and some of the other guys up front at their best defensively, that remains to be seen. That's a whole nother discussion for another time. But the point being is, at the end of the day, is the Colts did something that Chris Ballard's teams don't usually do, is they swung for the fences, and they swung big time. We're talking massive acquisition today, something that I've never seen before in an Indianapolis Colts team. So this was a good day to be a Colts fan, especially if you are wanting some big splashes.
Mike, you remember the day that the Colts traded for Eric Dickerson? It was all of a sudden, the Colts went from 4 years in Indianapolis of being an afterthought to the NFL to day one being a factor in the NFL, and it was so exciting. This feels a little bit like that.
It does. It feels a little bit like that. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the defense. The Colts swung for the fences here, and big risk, big reward. If this pays off, I mean, we're looking at a good run in the playoffs and a good defense to start next year. I'm excited about it.
And remember, he's also under contract for 3 years, so he's still under our control no matter what happens this year too. So that's huge, not only for the short term but also for the immediate long term. Or the Colts is having some type of insurance as well, which is, to me, I think that's part of the reason why I feel very good about this trade either way.
Hey, you're not just having him just for the rest of this year. And I think they got a prorated rate on him this year. I think it was $1.25 million towards his salary or something like that. So that wasn't too bad. I am concerned about how much it's going to hit the salary cap when you got to sign a quarterback next year potentially. Alec Pierce's contract is up, and you're going to be looking to extend him or sign him. So I think Quentin Nelson's got 1 year left on his contract. So just looking at contracts that are coming up and ahead. Again, I think they're doing this for let's win now. We have an opportunity. We have a hot team. We have a lot of motivation. We have the pieces, so let's go for it.
One other thing, I don't know if anyone's talked about this, but great guy. Another guy who fits into the culture of what's been going on in Indianapolis with the Colts, Fever, and Pacers. Not only good teams, but fun teams to watch and good people to cheer for. And Sauce Gardner fits into that. Really great guy.
So Halliburton's going to have a Sauce Gardner jersey next week.
I would assume so, yes. I would assume so.
That would be exciting. He has been in concussion protocol, right? So he was going to go back to practice tomorrow, I think, if he was still a Jet. So hopefully he is practicing with the Colts tomorrow and ready to be able to play in Berlin this weekend.
That's right. I don't know if he'll get all the snaps, but he should definitely be able to contribute. Sam, Mike, thank you so much. Everybody, we will be back on Friday to preview the Colts-Falcons game in Berlin. Thanks again to Sam and Mike, and thank you for listening. Always appreciate it. Please do us a huge favor. Share this podcast with a Colts fan in your life and help spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. Thanks again, guys.
Go Colts.
Go Colts.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.